the most common questions we get asked is, what mods have you had done to your Tacoma, specifically to handle the weight of the four-wheel camper? We have a 2021 Tacoma TRD Offroad and a 2019 four-wheel camper fleet. As far as mods go, four-wheel campers required two basic mods before they would install the camper onto our truck. The first was 10-ply E-rated tires due to the weight of the camper. We went with General Grabber AT3 tires. We also opted to upgrade the wheels to Black Method race wheels to add a little pop to our new rig. The second upgrade was to have airbags installed in the rear of the truck. This helps with leveling out the truck with the added weight and also really helps with performance, especially when it comes to steering. Having the truck camper combo level helps to keep weight on the front tires, which helps with turning and traction. We installed the airlift compressor with wireless remote that allow us to adjust the airbags from in the cab on the fly without need for external air hoses or gauges. We also had front spacers installed to give the truck a more level stance when the camper was not on. This was strictly for looks, and after much research and watching videos on YouTube about Tacoma upgrades and lifts, we learned that these spacer kits are not really designed for performance. For the normal weekend warrior or mall crawler, these are fine, but if you find yourself going off-road on more technical 4x4 trails, more often, spacers can cause your front end components to rub or bind up on each other, causing damage or premature wear and tear to your front suspension. It's better to get a quality lift kit and ditch the spacers if you plan on doing regular wheeling in your rig. More about this later. Our first big trip in our new rig was a camping overland trip through Utah, Arizona, and Nevada. This was a great shakedown trip to not only see how living in a small space in the back of our truck would be, but also to see how the Tacoma would handle and perform with the weight of our camper on a long journey on and off-road. We were new to overlanding, and one thing we learned almost right away was the importance of self-recovery gear. Early into our adventure, and after a series of winter storms, we found ourselves stuck in some very thick, red Utah clay, with no one in sight to help pull us out. Luckily, with a little patience and staying calm, we were able to get ourselves unstuck and back on the road. We also learned what going off-grid really means on some epic back-road adventures that took us to some amazing sights, but also left us with the realization that being stuck hours from any highway or town could have severe consequences, especially if you cannot self-recover. After our road trip, we went to Cali Raised Off-Road in SoCal, who installed a new steel bumper with winch plate and a 10,000-pound Smittybilt winch, which was plenty to handle the weight of our truck and camper fully loaded. We also went with the TRD Pro Grill just for looks and loved the way the grill and bumper changed the look of our Taco. We also decided to have some rock sliders installed to save us from body damage, since we were getting more comfortable going off-road in areas where 4x4 high-clearance vehicles are pretty much required. This was pretty much it as far as mods went for about 1.5 years. We took our rig on a lot of trips where we saw a lot of highway miles and dirt roads. We found ourselves traveling from northern Nevada up to the top of Montana, Glacier National Park, down through Idaho and Wyoming to enjoy Yellowstone and the views of the Tetons. We also took a couple of road trips to Death Valley, where we really started to put the Taco camper through some more extreme and technical 4x4 trails. This was also about the time that we started to notice that the stock suspension had taken a toll from the weight of the camper. We found a shop in Reno called John Springs, who installed their own custom heavy-duty spring packs to replace the blown-out stock springs. We also opted to have an add-a-leaf installed to really beef up the rear suspension. The new springs made the truck feel almost brand new again, and also added about 3 inches of lift. This is also about the time that the General Grabber tires had started to show some real wear and tear from miles of washboard roads, highways, and constantly airing up and down. The tread on all tires were getting to the point that they were only good for highway driving, as traction in the snow or off-road was starting to show a real lack of performance. Plus, the sidewall damage had us worried about possible blowouts at highway speeds. This time we decided to upgrade to a more well-known tire that has been tried and tested for years in the off-road community. We opted for the BF Goodrich AT KO2s, which automatically come in 10-ply E-rated. We also went with a slightly larger tire for clearance purposes while off-roading. We went from the 265 70R17s to 275 70R17s, which is just shy of a 33-inch tire. As many of you already know, to fit 33s or larger tires on a 3rd gen Tacoma without any rub while turning or fully flexed on 4x4 trails requires cutting and welding to clear the body mounts in the front of the truck. We were not quite ready to make this kind of modification to our Tacoma and are totally fine with the 275s for now. We did decide, however, it was time to upgrade the rest of the stock suspension and decided on the Icon Stage 1 2.0 front and rear suspension system. This included installing adjustable struts in the front. We also installed upgraded Icon upper control arms and ditched the original spacer kit, which we had installed when we first got the truck. This upgrade makes washboard roads feel like butter and eliminates any rubbing or binding on the front end of the Taco. Since the rear of the truck had already been lifted from the spring upgrades, all I did was install new Icon shocks that were designed for extra travel and harsh road conditions. This upgrade also allowed larger tires to fit without any rubbing on the 4x4 trails. Talk about a difference we could feel. We highly recommend upgrading your stock suspension if you have extra weight on the back of your Overland rig, no matter what brand you go with. Just do some research and find what will work for you, your rig, and the environment you are planning on being in. It really was like night and day between stock and aftermarket. Our airlift compressor for the airbags had also just stopped working, and turns out had burnt up. So we decided to upgrade to an ARB twin compressor mounted under the hood of the Taco. Up until this point, we were using a separate portable air compressor for airing the tires up and down while we were off-roading. This was because the airlift compressor could only be used solely for the airbags. We did also lose the capability of using wireless control for the airbags from the cab of the truck. But now with the ARB onboard air, we can fill the airbags with a single hose and air chuck. We now also have the option to use the ARB to air up tires or any other flotation devices we may have, like inner tubes. We also purchased the Morflate 4-way air chuck and their hose system, so now we can deflate our tires for off-roading all at the same time in under 5 minutes, and can then air them back up when we hit pavement in under 10 minutes. This is one of our favorite upgrades for sure. Between the time we save airing up and down and having a quality air compressor that serves multiple purposes is an upgrade we definitely recommend. Future upgrades will probably include front brakes and regearing, but for now, that pretty much sums up all of the mods we have done to our Tacoma to date. We can confidently say we are super happy with them and how they have improved the performance and comfort of our adventure rig. We hope you found this information helpful. We will say we are definitely not pros at any of this. We are constantly learning and figuring things out as we go, especially when it comes to overlanding. We do love getting questions and answering them the best we can. We also really love and welcome any input and helpful suggestions you all may have. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already, and we can't wait to see you on the next adventure out there.